Hey everyone, welcome back to Presentation Q&A. Think fast, answer clearly. I'm Zach, and today we're diving into that moment after your slides, when the real conversation begins.
And I'm Emily. If you've ever finished a presentation and someone fired a tough question at you, you're in the right place. If this chat helps you stay calm under pressure, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episodes.
So why does Q&A matter so much? Because it's unscripted. People see how you think, not just what you prepared. It's where credibility grows, or disappears. Emily, remember that leadership meeting last month?
Oh, yes. A senior manager asked, "If the forecast slips, what's plan B?" I took one calm breath, then paraphrased. "So you're asking about our backup if revenue slows, right?" Paraphrase just means say the same idea in different words. Then I signposted. Two parts to that. First, I explained the immediate steps. Second, I offered a timeline for a deeper review. I ended with, "I'll send the numbers by Friday afternoon." The room relaxed because they could follow the path.
Did the paraphrase buy you time, or did it mostly clarify the question? I'm asking because sometimes it feels like a life jacket and sometimes like a spotlight.
Both. Buying time doesn't mean dodging. It means giving your brain a runway. That pause, plus a clear paraphrase, showed respect. And signposting, saying how you'll structure the answer, guides the listener. I literally said, two parts, and people leaned in. It's simple, but it steadies the room.
That reminds me of my first startup demo day. An investor threw a curveball. How do you scale without burning cash? I took a sip of water, smiled, and bridged to our message. There are two levers here: automate support and stagger the rollout. Lever, in this context, means a factor you can pull to create change. Instantly, heads were nodding.
So, quick recap. Breathe, paraphrase, signpost, and bridge. Bridge means connect the question to your key message without ignoring the ask. We'll get into answer structures later, like prep, point, reason, example, point. But first, we want you to feel steady in the moment.
In this episode, we'll walk through active listening, clarifying, buying time gracefully, and shaping answers that land. We'll share the exact lines we used in real meetings, naturally, not like scripts, and show how to sound calm, even when the question is spicy.
If this sounds useful, tap subscribe or follow. It tells us to keep making episodes like this. And if you faced a wild Q&A moment, keep it in mind today. We'll help you turn it into a confident response next time.
One more thought. Q&A is not an interrogation. It's a conversation. When I felt cornered once, I simply asked, "Just to confirm, do you mean timeline or resources?" That gentle check changed the whole tone.
Perfect. So, our three words for today: clarity, confidence, connection. Stick with us. Next, we'll dig into active listening and how to catch the real question behind the words.
All right, let's get into active listening and clarifying the question. For me, it starts with noticing what's actually being asked versus what's underneath it. Sometimes the words say one thing, but the worry, the tone, the pace say another.
I had that last quarter with a client who asked, "Is this timeline realistic?" On paper, that's a schedule question. But his voice got tight, and he kept glancing at the quality slide. I took a breath and paraphrased. "So your main concern is quality if we move this fast, right?" Then I added a clarifier. "Are you more worried about quality risk or team bandwidth?" Bandwidth means capacity. He relaxed immediately and said, "Quality." From there, I signposted. Two quick pieces. First, I explained the testing checkpoints. Second, I shared who signs off each stage. We ended with a clear next step and date. The question sounded simple, But the subtext, the meaning under the words, was everything.
How did you catch that subtext so fast? Was it the glance at the slide, or more the way he asked it?
Both. I listen for pace. Fast can mean anxious, and I watch for silence after the question. If someone pauses, they often want you to prove something. I'll use a light probe like, "What would success look like for you here?" Probe just means a gentle follow-up to learn more. That single question often reveals the real target.
I had a multi-part one last week. What's your sample size, margin of error, and segment breakdown? I paused, nodded, and paraphrased. 3 parts: sample size, margin, segments. I wrote them on the whiteboard, then answered one by one. That tiny signpost kept everyone with me. No crosstalk, no derail.
Love that. It's basically mapping the question. Sometimes I even count on my fingers so people see I'm tracking with them. In a planning call, I said, "Let me take those in order," and it calmed the room instantly.
Quick recap so far. Hear the words, pause, paraphrase, clarify, then confirm. I call it the listening loop. When you say, "Just to confirm, you're asking about X, not Y," you reduce confusion and buy a second to think.
Another tool? Mirroring. In a design review, a teammate said, "The client pushed back on the timeline." I softly mirrored the last words. "Pushed back?" He added, "Because testing's under-resourced." That gave me the exact path to address it. People, not dates.
Speaking of paths, scope creep shows up a lot. That's when a project quietly grows bigger. When I hear tension, I ask, is this about scope or timeline? 9 times out of 10, naming the bucket unlocks a clean answer.
And about honesty. Hedging can confuse people. If I don't have a number, I say, "I don't have that on hand. I'll send it by 3 p.m. Defer simply means delay politely with a clear promise. Trust rises when expectations are specific.
So, active listening is less magic, more method. Notice cues, paraphrase the heart of the question, use one clarifier, and confirm before you answer. Do that, and tough questions feel like regular conversations.
Nice. Up next, we'll shift to buying time and bridging, how to slow the moment without losing momentum, and guide answers toward your key message while staying true to the ask.
Buying time isn't about hiding. It's about thinking clearly in front of people. When I feel a tough question land, I pause, breathe through my nose, look at the asker, and let one beat pass. That single beat slows the room and my brain.
Same here. In our product launch Q&A, someone asked about security certifications I didn't have on the slide. I used a soft buffer, a short preface, like, "Good question, and there are 2 angles." Buffer just means a gentle introduction that gives you a second. Then I bridged to our message. At the core, our goal is reliability, which is why we're aligning with X standard. Bridge, to me, means connecting their question to the key point you want everyone to remember, without dodging the actual ask.
Did you answer the certification part right away or after the bridge? I'm always balancing. Respond to the literal question versus highlight the main takeaway.
I did both, in order. First, I gave the direct piece I knew. We have A and B. Then I bridged. And here's how that supports uptime. Finally, I set an action. I'll confirm C by tomorrow. The action line closes the loop and shows accountability.
Let's dig a little deeper into that pause. Sometimes I write a keyword on a notepad, like risk, while nodding. It's a visual signal that I'm tracking, and it buys 2 seconds. Those 2 seconds keep me from rushing into a messy answer.
Quick midpoint recap. Pause, add a light buffer, answer the core, then bridge to the key message, and end with a small action. 5 moves, gentle and clean. It's amazing how professional that sequence feels in the room.
Funny you say that. In an investor meeting, someone threw a curveball about international taxes. I didn't have the detail. I said, "I'll defer specifics to finance," and bridged. What matters for our model is conservative forecasting. Defer just means delay politely with a promise.
And bridging isn't spin. If the question is off topic, I use a respectful parking lot. Let's park the vendor contract details and circle back after the session. Parking lot means we note it and return later, so the current thread stays clear.
Speaking of threads, signposting helps the bridge land. I'll say, 2 quick points, then hit them 1 and 2. The numbers calm people. It sounds simple, but it lowers the temperature and makes the bridge feel natural, not slippery.
Another tiny trick. Mirror the key noun before you bridge. A manager asked me about risk exposure. I nodded and said, exposure, short-term and long-term. That mirror shows respect. Then the bridge connects to the bigger message on mitigation.
Final takeaway. You don't need fancy lines. You need rhythm. Pause, buffer, direct answer, bridge, action. Do that, and the room hears clarity and leadership, even when you're thinking on the spot. Let's talk structure. When a question lands, I like having 2 simple frames in my pocket: prep and star. Prep is point, reason, example, point. Star is situation, task, action, result. Both make answers clean and memorable.
I used prep in a budget Q&A last spring. A director asked, "Why increase support costs now?" I started with my point. We should increase by 10%. Then the reason. It protects customer retention during rollout. My example. Last quarter, a small spike in tickets delayed 2 enterprise deals. And I closed with the point again. So this increase is insurance for revenue. The repetition felt steady, not robotic.
Did you signal the steps out loud or just flow through them? I sometimes worry that naming the structure will sound stiff.
I didn't name the letters. I used tiny signposts. I said, in short, for the point, because, for the reason, for example, before the story, and bottom line at the end. Bottom line means the most important takeaway. Simple cues, smooth delivery.
Speaking of stories, star shines when the question is about past performance or risk handling. In a reliability review, someone asked, "How did you respond to last month's outage?" I answered with star. Situation: payment gateway failed in region A. Task: restore service and protect data. Action: rolled back the release, isolated the node, communicated ETA every 15 minutes. Result: uptime back in 40 minutes, 0 data loss, and we added a guardrail to prevent repeats.
Nice. Prep is great for opinions or recommendations. Star is perfect for behavior, process, or proof. If the question starts with why or should we, I lean prep. If it starts with when, how did, or what happened, star fits better.
Quick example from a roadmap meeting. Why prioritize feature X over Y? I went prep. Point: prioritize X this quarter. Reason: it unlocks onboarding for 30% of new users. Example: in pilot, time to value dropped from 5 days to 2. Point again: so X first, Y next sprint. Heads nodded, no one got lost.
Small vocabulary moment. Trade-off means a choice where gaining one benefit costs another. Mitigation means reducing a risk's impact. When I used star about the outage, I slipped in, we mitigated the risk by adding a guardrail, and people instantly understood the direction.
Mini recap. Choose a frame that matches the question. Use light signposts and keep sentences tight. Structure doesn't make you stiff. It makes you clear under pressure.
Another micro technique is chunking, grouping ideas. I'll say, 2 reasons or 3 quick steps. It sets audience expectations and keeps me from wandering. Chunking also helps me remember where I am in the answer.
And if your mind blanks, anchor to the first letter. I've quietly written PREP on my notepad mid-Q&A. I filled each letter with one short phrase, then spoke it. It looks like confidence from the outside.
Final takeaway for structure? Prep for clear recommendations. Star for credible stories. Signpost lightly, keep it concise, and close with a crisp last line that echoes your point or result. Next, we'll tackle tough moments, data gaps, pushback, and multi-part questions, without losing composure.
Let's get into the messy moments. When someone wants a number you don't have, or when a question comes with heat, or when it's 3 questions in one. These are the pressure points of Q&A.
I'll start with a data gap. In a quarterly review, a VP asked me for the exact churn rate by industry. I didn't have it. I kept my voice low and steady and said, I don't have the industry split on hand. Here's what I do have. Overall churn this quarter is 2.1%. I'll pull the industry view and send it by 4 p.m. via email with a 1-line summary.
The room relaxed because there was a clear plan. Owning the gap is different from guessing. Guessing sounds confident for 5 seconds. Owning the gap builds trust for months.
Quick vocabulary moment. Timestamping means you attach a specific time to your promise, like by 4 p.m. It turns a vague later into something concrete and accountable.
How do you handle it when the person pushes back even after you commit? Like, why don't you have it right now?
I use a concession plus boundary. Concession. You're right, it's an important metric. Boundary. To keep accuracy, I won't speculate. I'll send the exact breakdown by 4 p.m. Concession means you acknowledge a fair point. Boundary is the line you keep to protect quality.
Love that balance. Speaking of pushback, I once had a director say, "Your model is too optimistic." I didn't defend immediately. I mirrored, "Too optimistic?" Then I asked, "Is the concern the growth rate or the assumptions behind it?" Naming the bucket cooled the temperature.
He said, assumptions. I replied, 2 places to tighten, conversion and seasonality. Then I offered a small trade-off. If we lower conversion by 2 points, revenue shifts by X, and we still hit the target. Trade-off means you gain one thing and lose another. You show the cost of a choice.
Let's dig a little deeper into tone. When pushback comes in hot, I slow my pace, shorten my sentences, and sit still for 2 seconds. Calm posture is a silent answer that says, "We're fine."
Another tool is the shared goal frame. In a tough roadmap debate, I said, we both want a stable release before holiday traffic. With that in mind, here's the minimal change that protects stability. Shared goal, then solution. It turns a duel into a partnership.
Now, the 3-in-1 question. Last week I got timeline, risks, and budget. And also, can we add feature Z? I walked to the whiteboard, wrote 1, timeline, 2, risks, 3, budget, and said, I'll take these in order, then park feature Z.
Parking lot simply means we note a topic and return after. I answered 1, 2, 3 in short chunks, checked, did that cover it? And only then addressed feature Z with a crisp trade-off. The structure kept us from spiraling.
Mini recap. For data gaps, own it. Give what you do know, timestamp the follow-up, and choose a channel. For pushback, offer a concession, state a boundary, and anchor to a shared goal. For multi-part questions, map, number, answer in order, and park extras.
Last thought. Precision beats perfection. People don't need you to know everything. They need to trust your process. If your method is clear, your answers feel strong, even when you're still gathering data.
Before we wrap, quick recap. Today was about clarity under pressure, hearing the real question, buying a little time, and structuring answers that land. Now, 3 simple practice steps you can start this week.
Step 1. The listening loop. Pick one real question from your last meeting. Paraphrase it, add one clarifier, and confirm. I do it into my phone voice memo on a 60-second limit. Listening loop just means hear, paraphrase, clarify, confirm.
Step 2. Prep lightning round. I jot down 5 prompts like, why prioritize X? Then I set a timer for 30 seconds and answer each using point, reason, example, point. Lightning round simply means short, fast repetitions for muscle memory.
I did that yesterday on a walk. I told myself, point, prioritize accessibility. Reason, it helps every user. Example, our pilot cut support tickets. Point again, ship accessibility first. It felt natural after the 3rd try.
Step 3. Bridge plus action closer. Ask a teammate to throw you a curveball question. Give a direct answer, bridge to your key message, and end with a concrete action, like, I'll send the breakdown by 3 p.m.
And if they pile on extra topics, use a parking lot. That means you note the side topic and promise to return later, so your main thread stays clear. It keeps the energy calm and respectful.
Quick self-check I like. Rate yourself 1 to 5 on calm, clarity, and connection. Calm is your pacing and breathing. Clarity is structure. Connection is eye contact and tone. Small scores improve fast when you practice weekly.
Mini recap. Listening loop for accuracy. Prep rounds for speed. Bridge plus action for leadership. 3 moves, 10 minutes a day. That tiny routine pays off the next time a tough question lands.
If today helped, follow or subscribe and share one Q&A moment you want to master in the comments. Your stories actually shape our next episodes. We read them all.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Keep your answers short, your tone steady, and your promises specific. You've got this. One clear response at a time. See you next episode.